嘿，大家好，我是范琪斐，欢迎来到斐姨所思。那我们今天进行的是阿姨来炼金。那阿姨今天要炼什么金呢？今天我们要来谈谈电动车啊。是不是有很多人在想要买电动车啊？但是现在到底是不是买了好时机呢？电动车会不会很贵啊？在台湾这个充电站到底方不方便啊？我会不会充了电以后会不会卡在半路上啊？然后，而且这个电动车的潮流，未来潮流是什么呢？那我们今天邀请到一位真的是电动车上面权威哦，他真的非常权威，他是这个台湾福斯集团跟台湾奥迪的总裁 Rahil Ansari。Hey Rahil。来跟我们的观众打个招呼。
Hello, I understand everything you said. What you want, Audi chair?
他才听不懂中文。Okay, yeah. So Rahil, how long have you been in Taiwan?
I've been here almost for a year now.
4 years?
No, for 1 year. Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 year. And then, so how is your Chinese?
It's improving. It's very difficult. I have to
You
say.
said you understand what I said, so what did I say?
You introduced me.
Yeah, it's not bad. Very close. I would say very close.
And probably that I don't understand or something like that.
Okay, so Rahil, you have been in Taiwan for about a year, right? Now, so have you been driving in Taiwan?
I do drive regularly. Every day, actually, almost. And yeah, it's good. I enjoy it.
So where did you go? What's the longest trip you took in Taiwan?
The longest trip that I took was from Taipei to Kenting.
Okay.
So,
okay, good. From top, almost
yeah.
from top to the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my longest trip, and actually this weekend I'm planning the same.
So you've tested the infrastructure in Taiwan. So what do you feel? Are we doing it well?
It's good. It's very convenient. I made a stop in Taichung because I wanted to do a break. Stop in Kaohsiung. Charged there my car, and then I went to Donggang, had a drive to Xiaoliuzhou, and then came back and went to Kenting.
So how far could you drive with one charge from, let's say, from Taipei to where?
You have a range of up to 488 kilometers.
That's quite far.
That's like realistically, I would say, depending on driving. If you take my driving. I can make it around 360 to 400 kilometers. My driving means, okay, I use, for example, then sometimes air conditioning. I drive also accelerate sometimes a little bit, yeah, still following road safety and regulations, of course. But then of course, the range drops down quicker. So it depends on also how you drive.
Have you ever stuck on the road? Do you happen to find out, you run out of your juice?
Not really.
Okay.
Okay, to be fair, I'm also not, I'm always very prepared. But on the other hand, even if I look at someone normal who is not like well informed, it's not a problem. So across the island, you have a lot of charging stations already set up. So that's actually not a problem. You have more than 300 when it comes to Audi and Audi partners, which are like slow chargers, and 60 fast chargers. Fast chargers means like within 40-45 minutes, you're fully charged and you are good to go.
I talk to my fans all the time. Okay, so I told them we're going to have this conversation, and then so the first question they have about EV is always about charging.
So first of all, I understand this because globally that's like the main reason for people of hesitating to buy an electric vehicle. When it comes to Taiwan, I have to say it's no concern at all. It's actually very easy to get access to charging stations. There is no need to be scared that you run out of juice, like you say, because we have sufficient charging stations. So of course we have across the island sufficient Audi dealerships with 9 locations where you have chargers. But on the other hand, we also work with cooperation partners like Nudo or EV Oasis, where you basically can charge. Yeah, you have different hubs that are even on the East Coast. Plus, the government is very committed to increase this until 2025. So that means like, the government is targeting around 5,000 slow chargers and around 600 fast chargers, which basically means it's enough for everyone to charge your car. So there's actually no need to be afraid of, okay, can I buy an electric vehicle really, and without, with this fear, that range anxiety that people have. Shouldn't be.
So, but I like to I like to have a comparison. Okay, so compared to, let's say, our neighbor countries, okay, how do you rate our infrastructure here in Taiwan? Would you say that is, where are we, globally?
I think Taiwan has a big advantage. It's the geography. It's very easy to commute. We have good highways, a good infrastructure along the highways, even charging stations over there. And we don't have long distances. And that's actually one of the biggest assets that we have over here. It makes it so convenient and so easy to get from A to B, and without this fear of range anxiety. Come back to your question, globally, I think we're in a very good shape. But yes, there has to be some improvement in the sense of that there have to be more charging stations, because more electric cars are coming now on Taiwanese roads.
Do you think the government and the industries are working well together?
They are. They're actually working well together. The government has given this as a deadline, 2040, to say that all cars on Taiwanese road have to be electric. There's a very frequent exchange. So we are also part of the European Chamber of Commerce, and as part of this, we have frequent exchanges with the government, because they also take our opinion into consideration when it comes to implementing policies. And I think this is highly appreciated, because they take the manufacturers' opinions into consideration, and they also set the roadmap jointly.
I think one of the concern in Taiwan is because, I have a friend who has been talking about getting an EV for years. But the reason that stopped him is because he doesn't really own his own parking space. He does not have a designated parking space. So we were talking about, because he lived on the third floor. So we're talking about, we play out all kind of scenarios. So does it mean that you have to pull out a cable and throw it out from the window and lower it down to your car, so then you can charge, And then, so do you think this is is unnecessary? Do you think this kind of worries are unnecessary?
You don't actually need to charge at home. You have either in the office environment, you have the Audi dealerships, you have the charge point operators that I mentioned, where you technically will always have a chance to charge. So that's not the necessity. But of course, it's convenient if you want to charge in your garage. Not in all cases it is permitted currently to have a wall box installed at home. And this is still a concern also from our side, which we raised also with the government from the manufacturer side, because we feel that in other countries we see the legislation has actually also allowed and permitted and said it's the right of someone who rents an apartment to have a wall box installed. In newer buildings, this is fortunately already the requirement that the cables or the security has to be like this, the safety has to be like this, that wall boxes can be installed. In older buildings, that's still the discussion. And this is where the government is now looking at it, hopefully with a positive outcome, that also in older buildings you can install a wall box. Now, when I look at overall as part of our sales process, we at Audi, we always look into this. So we basically offer to our customers or potential customers that one of our charge point operators goes home, which is Nudo. They basically go home and they check feasibility, whether a wall box can be installed or not. I think this is good. It gives the consumer, the customer also the confidence, okay, I can get it installed, I cannot get it installed, and what are the possible backup scenarios if I don't charge at home. Let me put it this way. Do you fuel your car at home?
No.
Correct. Yeah. So why would
I do that? I go to a gas station.
Correct. Yeah. And why wouldn't you go for a charging to an Audi dealership or to another location?
And then the other thing is that a lot of people are saying that, so when I drive an EV, I really have to plan out very well, right? Because you really have to know where to go, like how it's not like the conventional idea of a gas station. So I could just when I run out of gas, I just pull into a gas station. Yeah. So if I am not those kind of people,
you don't need to be scared.
Okay.
Because you have two options. It's either you use the Audi Taiwan line chat, where you see basically on the map where you have Audi EV charging stations, Or you can, for example, go to the Nudo app, one of our partners, or to EV Oasis, and basically look in the search function where they also have charging stations. You see this where you have access, and you will find for sure many of them.
So the other complaint that people often have is that they got to have a lot of different apps because the charging station is run by different companies. I hate that very much, okay? So does Audi has a solution for that?
We do.
Oh, you do? Okay, good.
We actually do have a solution to this.
I hate a lot of apps on my phone. That's great.
It's
okay.
actually very inconvenient. Yeah. So if you look at different charge point operators or even manufacturers, some manufacturers they just have their own app, and then you basically have the different charging stations, and you realize, then I need to download this app and then scan the QR code. That's very inconvenient. We have the solution. So, for example, we have an open source, which basically means that for together with EV Oasis and Nudo, two of our partners, we have basically a cooperation where you just need one app. So you have, for example, you have the EV Oasis on your phone, the app, you open the app, and you basically can charge at EV Oasis stations, at Nudo stations, at all Audi dealerships. Only one app required. And that's actually very convenient because then the customer knows, okay, I don't have to look for this app. I don't have to check, okay, which is the charging stations, because with EV Oasis, with Nudo, with some of the other partners that we have, you have quite a few charging stations accessible already in the country without undergoing this pain of app.
Yeah.
And that will increase. So our intention and our target is not to limit this to these charge point operators and to Audi. Other charge point operators are very welcome to join because we think it's a customer benefit. It's more convenient, and why would you want to make it inconvenient to the customer? Because the target for us is also very clear. Like I said, we want to increase the amount of electric cars on Taiwanese roads, and you can only do it if you make this entire customer journey very smooth.
This totally worked for me because I like my phone very clean.
Good.
As little apps as possible. So this totally worked for me. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is about the environmental benefits of EV. Okay, a lot of people get an EV is because they believe in this.
Yeah.
Okay, so but they are. I have to say, I also hear critics saying that, like the batteries. So is actually very polluted. Does Audi has a resolution for this too?
Yeah, I think overall that's quite a controversial discussion to a certain extent. The question is also, what's the alternative? The alternative is we continue CO2 emissions like they are and increase the environmental damage that we do, or we have a more sustainable approach. The answer is currently the solution is electric mobility. Currently it's also batteries. Because we believe that, of course, we have to decrease the carbon footprint. If I look at, for example, Taiwanese government, it's a clear policy, 2050, zero emissions, 2040 for the entire car industry. But of course, as a manufacturer, as Audi globally, we're also looking at this. For us, it's clear that we have, for example, we have reduced carbon footprint in our factories. It's in Mexico up to 80%. We have, for example, also for the entire Volkswagen group, because Audi is part of the Volkswagen group, a few battery gigafactories coming up. The first one already next year in Sweden, then in Salzgitter in Germany, 2025 is coming up. So overall 6 gigafactories for battery. And of course, when we look at this, for us, it's not about the battery production as such, but it's also about reducing the carbon footprint, which we believe we will manage. Of course, there are different concepts that we also look at, for example, recycling of batteries.
I also learned that Audi actually have a very special design on your batteries. Could you talk more about that?
So it's designed into modules, actually. You can just exchange also modules, which makes it more flexible, cost efficient as well, but at the same time also more environmentally friendly. And also recycle an entire battery, but you look at small modules. So those things we are doing, for example.
So do most of the people buying EV is because they have concerns about the environment?
Yeah.
And then you...
It's not about like, okay, I want to make a fashion statement or so, yeah. Okay, maybe for some brands they say, okay, I like this brand and I like the design of the car and so on. But the main reason to buy an EV at the moment in Taiwan is really also because of the environment. And it's good that we have people like these who do this.
So I know this is probably a little hard. I'm asking you to pull figures out of your head right now. So let's say, take example like in Norway, like, or Nordic countries. So what's the percentage over there?
Norway is around 67%.
67%. Whoa, we really have a long way to go,
don't we? But that's the other extreme, yeah. To be fair, that's the complete other extreme. Typically, you have a range of countries that are within 10 to 30%. This is like the regular range where you find countries and also like more developed countries in this bracket. So yes, Taiwan is now a little lower from that perspective, but even quite a few developed countries are below 10%. So it's not a concern. Also because electric cars came to Taiwan only now like 2 years ago. So we started we were one of the first ones with the e-tron, and actually you see now a firework of new electric vehicles coming into Taiwan only this next year and in year 2024. So it's basically only really starting now to increase, and that's why the acceptance will also increase. So it is too less, but it's not like a worry, because we're just in that phase of transforming the market in Taiwan. So I would say it will grow quickly. There are different statistics, different expectations, because I'm sure you will also want to know when will Taiwan grow substantially. 2040 is anyways the deadline. So 2040 is 100%, it has to be. So we don't have much time. It's actually 18 years to go when Taiwan automotive industry has to be 100% electric.
I think a lot of people would think environment is very important, but to buy a car, to base on this, probably a very small group of people. So can you tell us more about EV? Like what other benefits that we could talk to people and then convince them that EV is for you?
Okay, of course you have a tax benefit when you buy an EV. So then, of course, that's an advantage that you spend less money than the list price. So that's something that the government supports, which we think is also the right thing to do and the right step to do to promote electric vehicles. Secondly, also it's total cost of ownership. Typically with an ICE or with a combustion engine, you have to go to the workshop more often, which of course people are not always happy with invoices that they have to sign when they go to the workshop. So with an electric vehicle, all the fluids like oils and so on, so that's not happening. So you don't have to replace this. Of course, you also have to go to the workshop, but not to that frequent extent. But I look at it also at a lifestyle perspective. The drivability of an electric vehicle is also something which is very unique, very direct, very responsive. Plus, of course, if I look at Audi, we offer a pretty good ambience in an EV. And of course, if I look at the entertainment system, and that will also increase, the car will in the future be not only something where you drive in, but if I look at the future of it, it's also expected that at some stage, we will have autonomous driving. You will spend time in this car as leisure time. Because if I look at how many minutes do you drive maybe to work?
It would take me 20 minutes.
20 minutes. For the large population in Taipei, it's around 40 minutes to maybe 1.5 hours they drive. And this time that you basically have in a car is very long. So, and it's quite often underestimated. 40 minutes, let's say you have 40 minutes even. Well, let's take your example. You have 40 minutes back and forth to your office. This 40 minutes in a nice environment in your car that you can enjoy, where you can enjoy the drive. Do you drive on your own?
Not in Taiwan. In United States, yes.
So when you get driven, you have this luxury of space, of silence, of peace to calm down from a long office day or going to office. Quite often you go to office already, you think about work. But this brings you down already on the way to work. You get peaceful to work, and from the way back to office, it's very peaceful because then you have the smooth drivability of an electric vehicle, and when you reach home, you are calm. And this, maybe I verbalize this now, but you will feel this when you can only invite you to do this with an e-tron. I can give you my e-tron for a day. You can do this.
Everybody heard that, okay? Everybody heard. I wanted to be on the record, okay? I'm going to have his car for one day. Okay, go ahead.
This is like really something where you will feel the difference. And now, if I look at like a few years later, autonomous driving, you will enjoy this space because the future cars will have larger space. That's how it's intended to be, because then autonomous driving will come. That you use this space for your own well-being, and this is then the future of like maybe EVs as well. Sounds a little esoteric. It's not, because it's more about a human-centric approach, and this is also the philosophy of Audi in the future. You will see we have this already implemented with a few concept cars: the Sky Sphere, the Urban Sphere, the Grand Sphere. These are prototypes and concept cars that we have basically already launched in the past 2.5 years. It's great to look at those cars because these concepts actually also give you a bit of an input of how electric vehicles will look like in the future and what you can do. I mean, if I just look at, I don't drive on my own in the car. I just sit and relax. I can do anything from anything that I would normally do, but not necessarily even on the cell phone, but maybe I have screens then also that where I can use them to make all of those. Okay. Netflix, shopping, whatever, you name it.
Okay, so this comes to my next question actually. You probably have covered part of it, but I'd like to know, what do you think about the trend, the design trend of the EV going to be?
Like I said, it will be larger for sure.
So it will be bigger.
It will be bigger. The range of cars will be, the range as such will also be higher. Because range anxiety is one of those main topics of hindering people to buy a car. So that range will also increase in the future. But at the same time, you will also have different sports cars that we have available now as combustion engines as electric cars. So that even sports cars enthusiasts, they will have the pleasure of driving sports vehicles. But it will more focus on the time that you spend inside of the car. So more leg space, more room, and more relaxation time and more time for yourself.
So we are talking about the interior design will be very important too.
Yes,
because you are making it more comfortable. It sounds like you are going to be leaving the car,
It will be like this, yeah. It's like living in the car. Your car will be your office. Your car will be your possibly shopping space. Your car will be possibly your sleeping space if you want to. It depends on also like how often you want to use this car. I mean, how long you will want to drive. Maybe now, because you haven't experienced Taipei Kenting, maybe you will want to go to Kenting. So then
I wanted to fly. Okay, can you promise me that in the future you will fly?
The flying part I cannot promise, but if I look at the projections, when I was younger, I used to watch this cartoon, The Jetsons, and that reminds me they were always flying, so that at some stage we will probably also see flying cars. So
okay.
Let's see.
So Rahil, just tell me, what's your dream car? I mean, we talk about trend, right? So what's your dream car?
My dream car is a RS e-tron GT. I just love this car. It's a combination of an electric vehicle and a sports car. Like I said, I like driving a little fast or accelerate a little bit, and this is for me a fantastic symbiosis of an environmental friendly car, but also a car that delivers a sporty ambience. So I like the shape of sports cars, the design. Our designer, chief designer of Audi, Mark Lichte, he once said, "This is the most beautiful Audi that I have ever designed," and I agree. I fully agree. So this is my absolute dream car.
Okay, great. And I'm going to have that car for one day. All right, so I think that's it. Thank you very much for coming. Yeah. And then I hope you enjoy Taiwan very much. And then, so one day we're going to drive your e-tron.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll do that.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.